fact that India has the highest number of road accidents in the world, that is a well-known fact these days. Also add to that the fatalities resulting from those accidents, also the highest in the world. Again, it's a statistic that we are pretty familiar with. But who is doing something to try and change that? Well, you keep hearing little bits and pieces of things that are happening, and the big change that's required really comes down to attitudes. It's not about policing the law or even changing the law. It comes down to you and me, and which is why it's great to see a huge initiative being taken by the country's market leader in the passenger car space, Maruti Suzuki, who is going after something which most of us should really just be thinking of as a very simple exercise: wearing your seat belt. Let me talk more about that with Mr. RS Kalsi, who's joining me right now. Of course, is driving this campaign. Thank you. Always good to see you, sir.
Pleasure.
And in a way, we've met more frequently of late, so I'm happy about that. The Pehni Kya campaign, it's a catchy sort of a hashtag, and I, of course, totally get where you're coming from. But explain to us, let our viewers also understand, where did the idea first start from? Why did you think it was important to go after seat belts in a sense?
Well, Siddharth, you are right. Somehow we have the dubious distinction of having highest number of, fatalities on the roads in our country. So, we did a research in the marketplace that what are the various reasons of, these fatalities. And when we were working on the, say, seatbelt campaign, we tried to find out why is it that people are not wearing the seatbelts. So the first, outcome of this was that about 15 deaths are caused every day on the roads for non-wearing of the seatbelts, non-usage of the seatbelts. And what we found was there were various reasons for the people for not wearing seatbelts. Some of them were saying that, okay, it's not required, it's not mandatory in our city. Some of them were saying that, it makes them look little, inferior, impacts their, macho image and things like that. And the third big reason was they were saying that, okay, it spoils the crease of their clothes. And fourth reason was that people were not really convinced that seatbelt really helps in saving them. But our research indicates that, if people wear seatbelt, it certainly saves lives. And particularly in a situation now, the trigger point was that from 1st of October 17, we have introduced the new safety regulations on all the new vehicles. And seat belts, of course, were introduced in 1993 for the front seats, and for the rear seats, these were introduced around 2002. But even after 24 years of introduction, people still are not using it. So now once airbags are also introduced from 1st of October on all the new vehicles, it becomes very important that people are made aware about the usage of seat belts and the impact it has on the safety. Because if a person is not wearing a seat belt, the airbag gets activated. It will cause more injuries to the person than otherwise it would have happened. So seat belt is a primary restraint, and when a car is fitted with the airbag, it is a must for the passenger to wear seat belt and feel or make himself safe. Not only make himself safe, but also he should ensure that his co-passenger wears a seat belt, and people sitting at the rear seat, they also wear the seat belt. So that's how this campaign was thought of. And Pehni Kya is a very catchy phrase, and I'm sure it will go viral. And people, when they sit on the steering wheel before starting the engine, they'll ask everyone sitting in the car, Pehni Kya?
I certainly hope so. And, in fact, I must refer our viewers to the fact that everything that Mr. Kalsi was talking about here comes from a very scientific place. It's not unscientific. There's a study, of course, that a market research study that you have initiated and conducted across the country. Key cities, I know that you chose those cities based on accident rates and fatality rates. The part that, even for me, someone who claims to be more aware than the average person on the road, that was a surprise, is the staggering level of non-compliance in the southern part of the country. You assume that, it's the better, aware part of the country, people are, higher levels of education, etc. Was that a surprise? I mean, or were there many such surprises in the results for you?
Well, there were many such surprises. Now, first thing was the pan-India, level of compliance itself. it is just 25% in our country. While if we talk about, say, Europe, it's about 98%, and America it is 85%. So this 25% figure itself was a shocking figure. And when we segregated the data, city-wise, geography-wise, what we found was that in South, the adherence was much lower compared to North. And North, the figures were better because of the two cities, Chandigarh and Jaipur. And these are the two cities where I think law enforcement agencies are very strict.
So it's not an attitude thing,
yes,
so it's a law enforcement thing.
That's right. Yeah. And second phase is, enforcement phase. And maybe by the time we reach the third phase, people start, following it.
Now, I'm sure, and I know this is a very small question, but I'm sure you had considered many options before you decided to go with Pehni Kya.
Yes.
I'm sure you went through several things, but given the fact that you do find more non-compliance in the South, choosing to go Hindi and not English was still a conscious choice, obviously.
Well, I think Pehni Kya is a fairly simple phrase, and it is used in the this in common day-to-day language as well. And I'm sure down south it will be well understood. So, and it is a little colloquial, and our idea was that it should catch on with the people.
Now, anybody who knows me and who watches our show, of course, knows that I always end by saying, please wear your seatbelts. I'm not sure if people have noticed that the last 2 years or so, I have started saying front or back. Because one of the things which, of course, even your study points very directly to is that even if people are wearing it in the front, they're certainly not wearing it at the back. 4%, I mean, that's
yes, only 4% compliance.
Horribly low figure. So this point about saying that it's not just about the driver, one, then it's not just about the, the co-passenger in front, two, and then the point about you have to also wear it at the back. You think that is the tougher sell in that sense?
Well,
because chauffeurs wear it and the owners don't.
Yes.
That's the irony of it.
Yes, yes. I agree with you, and in fact, I have come across a couple of unfortunate incidents where driver, he was wearing the seat belt, and he came out after the accident totally scratch free, and people sitting at the back, they unfortunately this thing could not survive. So from that point of view, it is very important that everybody who is sitting in the car must wear the seat belt for his or her own safety. So that's why Pehni Kya means moment a person sits on the steering wheel, he asks everyone Pehni Kya, whether he is the on the co-driver side or he is at the back. So from that point of view, it is very important. And you are right, just 4% compliance is very, very low level of adherence to the safety norms. And I'm sure after this campaign, people would become aware of it, and certainly this percentage should go up.
One thing, Mr. Kalsi, that we always see, and I know it's a horribly cynical view, every time these figures come out, of road deaths, India topping that, the natural reaction is, let's blame someone. People love blaming the auto sector, saying, oh, these guys don't do enough, they don't, they don't tell their customers. And now, let me flip that around a little bit, without being cynical, but still ask you this question, that now that you are doing something, you're doing, and it's a national campaign, you shared with us earlier that you're looking to spend about 15 crores on it. So it's a big deal for you. Why are you doing it? What's in it for you?
Well, being a leader in the, this thing, automobile industry, I think I'll ask a counter question. If not we, then who else? So it's a campaign.
I was hoping you'd say that. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a campaign that we intend to start, and I'm sure that even if we are able to, save one life every day, we would take pride in the fact that we have done our bit, because as somebody said, okay, we talk about statistics, 1 lakh, deaths every year. It's nothing more than a statistics. But an individual who dies, for his family, it's a big tragedy. And imagine the loss, the family has to bear, emotional loss, the financial loss, and a loss to the economy as well, people dying at the young age, in the road accidents. So I think we are contributing our bit towards it, and gradually it should become, this national campaign. We are, focusing on print media, television, radio, digital. Also, we are doing a lot of below-the-line activities where, our channel partners from radio, they would be talking to some of the customers in the parking lots. They'll be catching the customers who are wearing seat belts, giving them some small, goodies, and also they'll be educating the people who are coming out of the car in the parking lot and they were not wearing the seat belt. So at every front we are, you know, working in this.
That's great to know. So it's not just about advertising, but you'll also do a lot of on-ground stuff. This point about, you know, you mentioned, of course, briefly about how there are certain new norms kicking in as well. Was that the only driver in terms of timing for you, or was there something else as well?
Well, not really. Safety has always been our concern, and very fact that we have 6 institutes of driving and traffic research across the country in collaboration with the state governments, where we are training lakhs and lakhs of the people and retraining the commercial vehicle drivers there. Also, we have more than, say, 400 Maruti driving training schools, where we are, you know, training people, learners on right, you know, this way of driving, on not just developing the skill set, but also the right kind of attitude when they are on the roads. And also we are running a campaign, Happy Roads, where people, you know, they do not lose their temper, they do not get into road rage, they are considerate for their other fellow road users. So a lot of activities we are doing, and this one is really at a larger scale, I must say, but it is in continuation towards our efforts to enhance the safety of the road users.